It was 3:47 in the morning when everything changed forever. The house was completely silent except for the soft clicking of a keyboard. In a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio, 15-year-old Ethan Carter sat alone in his dark bedroom, surrounded by the cold blue glow of 3 computer monitors. His parents were sleeping peacefully downstairs, completely unaware of what their son was doing at that exact moment. To anyone else passing by the house, he looked like just another teenager who couldn't sleep. But Ethan was far from ordinary. Since he was 11 years old, Ethan had been completely obsessed with computers and hacking. What began as a simple hobby quickly turned into an all-consuming passion that took over his entire life. By the age of 13, he was already breaking into systems just to test his growing skills. At 14, he had successfully accessed government databases in 3 different countries without leaving any trace behind. He never did it for money, fame, or attention. He did it purely out of curiosity. He simply wanted to see what was hidden from the world. What secrets powerful people were keeping from everyone else. That particular night, however, felt different from all the others. There was a strange tension in the air, a feeling that something big was about to happen. For weeks, Ethan had been chasing strange rumors about something called Project Eclipse. The name kept appearing in encrypted forums and dark web chats. No one seemed to know exactly what it was, but everyone agreed it was buried deep inside the most secure networks on the planet, the Pentagon's own systems. The more Ethan read about it, the more obsessed he became. He had to know what it was. Ethan took a slow, deep breath. His hands trembled slightly as he launched the custom tools he had spent months creating in secret. These programs were designed to slip through even the strongest firewalls, like ghosts, leaving almost no trace of his presence. One by one, the layers of digital protection fell away. After nearly 40 intense minutes of focused work, he was inside. His heart was racing so fast he could feel it in his chest. He had done it. He had successfully hacked into the Pentagon. What he discovered shocked him to his core and would change his life forever. At first, everything looked like normal classified military documents, plans, budgets, and reports. But then he found something else, something that should never have existed in the first place. Project Eclipse was a secret plan to start a war. Not a traditional war that would appear on the news with tanks and soldiers. This was a hidden shadow conflict designed to be fought through cyber attacks, false flag operations, and proxy forces. The goal was to completely destabilize a foreign nation so that no one would ever know America had been involved. And the most terrifying part was that the operation had already started. Ethan stared at his screen, completely frozen. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. He had just hacked into the most protected computer system in the world and discovered that his own government was secretly planning to start a war. For several long minutes, he didn't move. Part of him desperately wanted to shut down his laptop and pretend he had never seen anything. But another part of him knew he couldn't simply walk away. He began downloading files, thousands of them. He wasn't even sure why at first. Maybe he wanted proof. Maybe he thought he could expose it someday. Whatever the reason, that single decision would change his life forever. The moment he began copying the files, the system detected the breach. Within minutes, alarms were blaring inside the Pentagon. The best cybersecurity teams in the country were now hunting him. Ethan tried everything he could to cover his tracks, but it was already too late. They had traced the connection straight back to his house in Ohio. He heard the sirens before he even reached his bedroom window. 3 black SUVs had pulled up outside. Men in dark suits were stepping out. His parents were waking up downstairs, confused and terrified by the sudden noise and flashing lights. Ethan had only seconds to act. In pure panic, he uploaded the stolen files to multiple secure locations across the internet. He sent copies to journalists, foreign media outlets, and anonymous file-sharing sites. Then he wiped his hard drives and waited. 5 minutes later, the front door was kicked in. What happened next was complete chaos. The government moved fast to control the narrative. They publicly claimed that Ethan was a dangerous terrorist who had hacked into critical national security systems. They painted him as a serious threat to America. But the files he had leaked were already spreading like wildfire across the world. Within hours, the documents were everywhere. News organizations around the globe began reporting on Project Eclipse. The secret war that was supposed to stay hidden was now international news. Foreign governments were furious. Protests erupted in multiple countries. The nation targeted by the operation began preparing for conflict. What was meant to be a quiet, deniable operation had turned into a full-blown international crisis, all because of one 15-year-old boy from Ohio. Ethan was taken to a secret facility and questioned for days. They wanted to know exactly how he had done it. They refused to believe that a teenager could have breached the Pentagon's defenses alone. But Ethan had worked completely by himself. He was simply that skilled. While he was being held, the war he had accidentally triggered was already escalating. Cyber attacks were launched on both sides. Critical infrastructure was targeted. People were dying in a conflict that officially didn't exist. Ethan felt overwhelming guilt. He had never wanted any of this. He had only been curious. Now the world was standing on the edge of something terrible, and it was entirely his fault. His parents were devastated. They couldn't understand how their quiet, brilliant son had become America's most wanted teenager overnight. They were told they might never see him again. Months passed. Ethan was moved between different secure facilities. He was studied intensely. The government wanted to understand how his mind worked. They offered him deals. They threatened him. They tried everything to make him cooperate. But Ethan refused. Instead, he spent his time thinking deeply. He thought about the incredible power that one curious person could hold in the digital age. He thought about how fragile the systems that controlled the modern world truly were. Eventually, the story began to fade from the headlines. The secret war continued in the shadows, but public pressure had forced the government to scale back some of its most aggressive plans. In a strange way, Ethan had changed the course of history. After nearly 2 years, he was finally released under very strict conditions. He was given a new identity and warned never to speak about what had happened. He was told that if he ever tried to hack again, they would know immediately. Ethan returned home. His parents cried when they saw him. For the first time in years, he felt like he could finally breathe again. But he would never be truly normal. Even today, he sometimes sits in front of his computer late at night. He never hacks anymore. He just stares at the screen and remembers how close one curious 15-year-old came to starting a war. The world has never been more connected. A single person with the right skills can now reach places that were once completely untouchable. That power is both incredible and terrifying. Ethan Carter was just a boy who wanted to see what was hidden. What he found changed everything. And the secret war he started is still being fought in the shadows to this day. Some doors should never be opened. Some secrets are better left buried. But once they're out, there is no going back. Asterisk, but there was one part of the story the public never learned. During the final weeks of Ethan's detention, an older intelligence officer visited him almost every night. The man never gave his real name. He simply called himself Mercer. Unlike the others, Mercer didn't threaten Ethan or treat him like a criminal. He asked strange questions instead. He wanted to know how Ethan noticed hidden patterns inside encrypted networks so quickly. He wanted to understand how a 15-year-old could think several moves ahead of trained cybersecurity experts. Over time, the conversations became less like interrogations and more like lessons about power, fear, and information. One night, Mercer revealed something that haunted Ethan for years. Project Eclipse had not been created by a single government agency. Similar operations existed all over the world. Invisible conflicts fought through financial systems, cyber sabotage, propaganda, and surveillance. Nations were already attacking each other in silence every single day. According to Mercer, the next World War would never begin with missiles or soldiers crossing borders. It would begin with code. Before Ethan was released, Mercer handed him a small piece of paper containing only one sentence. "The systems are weaker than anyone knows." Ethan never forgot those words. Even years later, when he tried to rebuild a normal life, he could still feel the weight of that warning in the back of his mind. Sometimes, late at night, he wondered whether Project Eclipse had truly ended at all, or whether it had simply disappeared deeper into the shadows, waiting for the right moment to return. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next upload. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous weapons in the world aren't bombs or guns. They're secrets hidden behind a screen. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.